Hi. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As you probably know, my name is David Ivan, and I'm the Advanced Drama President. So I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for coming tonight and previous performances this year and previous years. Let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to introduce the judges. We have Mr. Tarushian and Ms. Williams. And maybe Mr. Kang. So
Maybe not.
maybe not. So the way it's judged, what they're going to do is each actor will come up and perform two contrasting monologues, serious and comedy, and it has to be under 5 minutes. And because of that time limit, we ask that you not clap in between their monologues. Please hold your applause till the very end of both of their monologues. It's important. There will be an intermission in between the sophomores and the juniors, and directly following the last monologue, which is me, we'll start the award ceremony. And we'll dismiss the judges. The rest of you can remain seated, and we'll begin handing out the awards. That's all I really need to say. So the first actor, I believe, is Taj Easton.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Taj Easton, and I will be performing two monologues for you tonight. My first is entitled To Me, written by Neil Simon, and taken from the play Biloxi Blues. And my other is entitled Good Will Hunting, taken from the screenplay Good Will Hunting, written by Matt Damon. And now for my scene. My name is Toomey, Sergeant Merwin J. Toomey, and I'm in charge of C Company during your 10 weeks of basic training here in beautiful Biloxi, Mississippi. After which, those of you who have survived the heat, humidity, dry rot, fungus, roaches, snakes, spiders, ticks, and gonorrhea will be sent to some shit island in the Pacific or some third pile of the North System. In either case, returning to your mamas and papas with your balls intact is highly improbable. I speak from experience, having served 14 months in the North Africa campaign, where 73% of my comrades buried under the sand of the Arab Desert. Colorful ribbons on my chest will testify to the fact that my government is grateful for my contribution, having donated a portion of my brains to this conflict, the other portion being protected by a heavy steel plate in my head. This injury has caused me to be a caring, compassionate teacher of you raw young men. Or the coolest, craziest, most sadistic goddamn bitch you ever saw. Do I make myself clear? Thought about what you said to me the other day about my painting. I stayed up half the night thinking about it. Something occurred to me and I fell into a deep, peaceful sleep and haven't thought about you since. You know what occurred to me? You're just a kid. You haven't the faintest idea of what you're talking about. If I asked you about art, you'd probably give me a skinny on every art book ever written. Michelangelo, sexual orientation, women's book. Whole works, right? You can't tell me what it smells like in the 16th chapter. Never stood there and looked up at that beautiful scene. If I asked you about women, you'd probably throw syllabus of your favorites at me. You may have even been late a few times. You can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy. If I asked you about war, throw Shakespeare at me, right? Once more into the breach, dear friends. You've never been near one. Never held your best friend's head in your lap, watching the gas his last breath because you didn't help. If I asked you about love, you'd throw Shakespeare at me, right? But you've never known a woman who could level you with her eyes. Feeling like God put an angel on earth just for you. To rescue you from the depths of hell. wouldn't know about sitting up in a hospital room for 2 months. Because the doctors could see the term visiting hours didn't apply to you. You don't know about real loss? It only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself, and I doubt you've ever dared to love anyone that much. You're an orphan, right? I think I know the first thing about how hard your life has been, because I read Oliver Twist. Does that encapsulate you? Frankly, I don't give a shit about all that, because I couldn't learn anything from you. I can't read you some book. Unless you want to talk about you, who you are, how you feel. Then I'm fascinated, I'm in. You want to do that, do you, sport? You're terrified of what you might say.
Hi, my name is Patricia Gunn, and I'll be performing 2 monologues this evening. My first, a series entitled Summer Smoke by Tennessee Williams. My second, comedic, entitled It's Really Cooking Now from a Collection of Novels. And that's my piece. You needed to try to comfort me. I had to come here, but on an equal terms. You said let's talk truthfully. Well, let's do. Unsparingly truthfully, even shamelessly then. It's no longer a secret that I love you. It never was. I loved you as long ago as I asked you to read the Stone Angel's name with your fingers. Yes, I remember the long afternoons of my childhood. And I had stayed indoors and practiced my music. And I heard your playmates calling you. Johnny! Johnny. How it went through me. Just to hear your name called. And how I rushed to the window to watch you jump the porch railing. Half a block away. Only to keep inside of your torn red sweater. As you raced about the vacant lot that you played in. It's begun to soon. This affection for love and has never let go of me since, but kept on growing. I lived next door to you all the days of my life. A weak and divided person who stood adoring all your singleness. Strange. That is my story. Now I wish you to tell me. Why did it happen between us? Why did I fail? Why did you come close enough to go closer? Oh my God. If you think you're coming over to my place for dinner tonight, forget it. I can't cook. I really grapefruit. I tried. God knows I tried. I went to school and took remedial cooking. Some people hate by numbers. I cook by numbers. You should try my Wilden 7 topped with 4 gravy and a side order of 13. It all ends up to stomach cramps. I have speed bumps on the way out to the back door. You've never seen so many galloping gourmets. Appearance is half presenting appetite condition. Great. My spaghetti comes out looking like an explosion in the Brillo factory. Everything tastes like chicken of the swamp. What some guests don't care about taste? Like cousin Bertha? She visited me a few weeks ago and ate everything in sight. Eats and eats and eats, like never gains weight. She still weighs the same as high school, 386 pounds. For her birthday, her family gave her a set of power knives and forks. Cousin Bertha goes to a well-known fast food place, eats her fill, and rushes outside to watch the numbers change. Cousin Bertha bought a brand new outfit the other day, bright blue and yellow. Duck. 3 people came out to her and put rolls of film into her pocket. I took Cousin Bertha out to a Y'all seem like nice folks. Tell you what, why don't y'all come over to my place for dinner tonight? And a bit of friendly advice, bring your own stomach pots.
My first, A Serious, from Agnes of God by John Hallmeyer, and my second, a comedy called Over the Moon from the Broadway show Rent, written by Jonathan Larson. Now for my first scene. Well, I think they come from when an angel lights on a mother's chest and whispers in her ear. That makes good babies start to grow. Bad babies come from when a fallen angel squeezes in down there and grows until it comes out down there. I don't know where good babies come from. And you can't tell the difference. Except that bad babies cry a lot. And make their fathers go away. And their mothers very ill and die sometimes. Mommy wasn't happy when she died. I think she went to hell. Because every time I see her, she looks like she just stepped out of a hot shower. And I don't know if it's her or the lady that tells me things. The lady I saw when I was 10. I was lying in the grass, looking at the sun, and the sun became a cloud, and the cloud became the lady, and she said she would talk to me. Then I looked, and I saw she had holes in her side and in her feet, and I tried to catch the blood as it fell from the sky, but I couldn't see anymore, because my eyes had big black spots in front of them. And she tells me things like right now, she's crying, Marie, Marie, but I don't know what that means. And she uses me to sing. It's like she's throwing a big hook through the air and it catches me under my ribs and pulls me up. But I can't move, because Mommy is holding my feet. All I can do is sing in her voice, the lady's voice. God loves you. God loves you. Last night I had a dream. I found myself in a desert called Cyber. It was hot. My canteen had sprung a leak and I was thirsty. Out of the abyss walked a cow, Elsie. I asked if she had anything to drink. She said, I am forbidden to produce milk. Inside the land, we only drink milk. The only thing to do is to jump over the moon. Then close everything real down, like barns and troughs and performance spaces, and replace it all with lies and rules and virtual life. I gotta get out of here. It's like I'm being tied to the front of a yellow rental truck being packed in with fuel, fertilizer, fuel oil, being pushed over a cliff by a suicidal Mickey Mouse. Got to find a way to jump over the moon. Only thing to do is jump over the moon. Then walk stuff, the sweetest milk I have ever tasted. Climb on board, she said. And as the harvest moon rose over Cyberland, we ran back in a gallop, leaping out of orbit. I awoke singing. Only thing to do is to jump over the moon, over the moon, over the moon. First is my comedian entitled His First Movie, written by Robert F. Carroll. My second, my series entitled Dead at 17, written by John Barrow. And that's mine. Hurry up, Harry! Picture's about to begin. There's Brucey. Get him, quick! Now sit back, Junior, and watch the picture. What? Of course I can see, can't you? Well, then ask her to take it off. You don't have to bother. Junior just did. I'm sorry, madam, but my husband couldn't see anyways. Of course he didn't knock it off. That was Junior. Sit back and be very quiet. Harry, Junior wants a drink of water. Doesn't really want a drink of water. You know what he means. Junior, go with Daddy. That was quick. You're tired? Yeah, so am I, but your father, I suppose, asks. Oh, he does? I thought so. Come on, Junior. We'll see you at home. Bye. Agony clogged my mind. I am Mrs. Biscuit. The day I died was an original school day. How I wish I was the bus. But I was too cool for the bus. I remember how I wheedled the car out of my mom. Special favor, I pleaded. All the kids drive. When the 2:50 bell rang, I remember throwing my books in my locker. I literally ran to the parking lot, excited that I would drive. I'd be my own boss. It doesn't matter how the accident happened. I was goofing off, going too fast, taking crazy chances. The last thing I remember was passing an old lady who seemed to be going awfully slow. I heard a crash and I felt a terrific jolt. Steel and glass, it flew everywhere. I felt my body turning inside out and I heard myself scream. Suddenly, I awakened. I saw a police officer standing above me, and I saw a doctor. My body, it was mangled. I was saturated with blood. I can't be dead. I'm only 17. I have a date tonight. I'm supposed to have a wonderful life ahead of me. I just can't be dead. My folks came to identify me. Why did they have to look at me like this? Why did I have to look into my mother's eyes and see her face the most terrible ordeal of her life? My father suddenly was very old. He looked at the man in charge and said, "Yes, this is our daughter." The funeral, it was kind of weird. I saw everyone walk towards the casket. They looked at me with the saddest eyes I've ever seen. Please, please don't bury me. I'm not dead. I want to sing. I don't want to dance. I want to run and laugh again. Please don't put me on the ground. All I want is another chance. Please, God, I'm only 17.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Burton Crow. Tonight I'll be performing two monologues for you. The first, a serious, entitled Slip of the Finger, written by Angel Harrison. And the second, a comedic, entitled Letter to the Guy in the Hospital, written by Bruce McCullough, taken from Kids in the Hall. Now for my scenes.
so scared. I've seen people be killed. I've seen people starving to death. I've seen human hatred in its most pure form, and it scares me so bad. I have to do awful things over here. I killed someone today, and I was forced to watch them die. I killed a boy, and I had to watch him die as he lay there in the mud and dirt in the trench in front of me. The boy couldn't have been over 19. It's impossible, and he was probably younger. The thing that shook me more than anything is that he looked exactly like Matt. It was like watching my best friend die all over again. He had a life and a future, and I took it all away from him. With one slip of my finger, one little second. He had a family. I know he did. He has to. He has a mother and a father. I know it. But maybe he had a sister that cares about him or worries about him. Or a girlfriend or fiance back home who cries herself to sleep every night worrying if he'll come home to her, worrying if he's hungry or if he's cold, or even if he misses her as much as she misses him. And I killed him. I took him away from everybody who loves him, from everybody that loves him. What right did I have to do that? What right do I have to take the life, dreams, loves, hopes away from an innocent person just because of what some stupid officer tells us to do? Just because the government says that Germany, and Japan, and the Nazis, and all their allies are bad, does that mean they're evil and that we have the right to take their lives from them? No one in this world should have that right. And no one beyond this world should have that right either, because there is no God, and there is no heaven. I know there's a hell, because I'm living through it every second, of every minute, of every single day, and it will be what will probably be the rest of my life. Oh, hi. Just writing a letter to someone in the hospital. You know, it's always kind of hard to find the right words to say. So, how's the weather in the hospital? Sure is nice outside. Just doesn't seem to work. But, you know, you gotta try. Show your concern. So here's what I've got so far. Dear Guy Clothesline, as you went by on your bicycle. You don't know me, but I'm the guy that broke your collarbone. Now I've asked myself over and over, why did I clothesline that guy? Perhaps it was because I watched too much slapstick as a child and expected you to get up after being violently assaulted. Imagine my confusion when you did not. Although not so confused that I actually hang around or anything. In all fairness, it was pretty funny. I mean, the last thing you'd expect is you were riding merrily by on your bicycles as some guy, you didn't know it all, would stick out his arm and crush your throat. I mean, you should have seen it. It was like wham, bam! Oh, yeah. Anyway, in closing, as you lay there in your hospital bed, I'm forced to wonder, what were you doing riding your bicycle on the sidewalk anyhow? Huh, you asshole? Sidewalk? Sometimes we're being hard upon ourselves. Signed, the guy that collapsed your trachea. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Justin Villegas, and tonight I'll be performing two scenes. The first, serious scene entitled Up the Fields by David French, and the second, a comedy entitled The Two-Wheeled ATV by Patrick McManus. Now for my scene. It takes many incidents to build a wall between two people. It starts very early. It has to do with my father and me. I don't know if my father ever remembered one such incident. I remember one. The first game he ever had to come to. I didn't remind my father of the game. I was afraid he'd show up and embarrass me. 12 years old and ashamed of my old man. Ashamed of his dialect, his dirty overalls, his fingernails lined with dirt. No, I want a doctor for a father, or a lawyer, not a carpenter. I remember standing up to bat. The game was tied, and it was the bottom of the ninth. Then I saw him, sitting on the bench along third base. He grinned and waved and gestured to the man beside him, but I pretended not to notice him. Angry at myself, I swung hard on the first pitch, and the ball shot low over the shortstop's head for a double. Our next batter bunted, and I made third. He was only a few feet away now, but I still refused to acknowledge him. And when the next pitch shot past first base, I slid home to win the game. And there he was, jumping up and down, excited as ever. Then And as our team stampeded out of the schoolyard and the crowd broke up, I looked back through the wire fence to see my father sitting on the now empty bleachers, just staring at the cinders between his feet. Just staring. I don't know how long he stayed there. Maybe till dark. But I do know that he never again came to see me play. My first all-terrain vehicle was a one-wheel drive, and it could take you anywhere you had the guts to pedal it. Most other kids around had decent, well-mannered bikes. Mine was a balloon-tired monster born halfway between the junkyard and the second-hand store. Some local fiend built it with his own 3 hands and sold it to my mom. The worst thing about the bike was that you simply could not ride it in a manner that allowed you to retain any sense of dignity. The chief reason for this was that the seat was permanently adjusted for a person about 6'8". The proportions of the handlebars suggested that they had been stolen from a tricycle belonging to a 3-year-old. The result of this combination was that whenever I went out on the bike, my rear end was always about 3 inches higher than my shoulder. The seat of the bike was the kind usually found on racing bikes. The principle behind the design is the rider goes to beat hell in order to get off it. To get the proper effect of one of these seats, you might try spending a couple hours sitting balanced on the end of a baseball bat. The small end. Put a doily on it for cushioning. Bike had a couple little tricks I'd like to play. One was that it would wait until you just started down a long, steep, curving hill. Then it would reach over its chain and wind your pant leg into the sprocket. This move not only prevented you putting on the coaster brakes, it also shackled you to a hurtling death machine. This usually happened when you were trying to outrun one of the timber wolves the neighbors kept as watchdogs. You'd be standing up, pedaling for all your worth. The wolf would be a black snarl coming up to your rear. The chain would then grab you by the leg and drop you with a crunch on the crossbar. The wolf would gnaw on you until you got your leg freed, or until he got bored and went home. I swear, I spent half my time repairing that bike and the other half repairing myself. Until I was old enough to drive, I went around looking like a commercial for Band-Aids. I remember one time a bunch of us just began another camping trip on our bikes. There was a hill about 3 miles from my house called Sand Creek Hill. The name deceptive in its lack of description. The hill should have been called Dead Man's Drop or Say Goodbye Hill. Just as I started my descent, whom should I notice coming up it? One of our neighbor's wolves. Apparently returning home from a hard night of killing elk. I could see his face brighten when he caught a glimpse of me hurtling towards him. Shane chose that moment to eat my pant leg halfway up to the knee. With one last great effort, I aimed a quick kick at the wolf, ripped my pants free, and threw myself in his face. Now 4 or 5 times to distribute the injuries evenly about my body, and then using my nose for a brake, slid to a stop. When I was up and around once more, my mother bought me a car, a second ATV. Some local fiend built it with his own 3 hands. That's another story.
Good evening. My name is Preston, and I will be performing 2 monologues. My first one is my comedic, taken from Harvey. My second is my dramatic, taken from the movie End of Days. In this one, I will be playing the devil. Now for myself. One night, several years ago, I was walking along Fairfax Street early in the evening. Between 18th and 19th. You know that block? I just helped Ed Hickey into a taxi. He had been mixing his rye with his gin, and I felt he needed conveying. I started to walk down the street, and I heard this voice saying,
morning, Mr. Dowd. Well, I turned, and there was this great white dragon. Well, I thought nothing of that, because when you lived in a town as long as I've lived in this one, you get used to everybody knowing your name. Naturally, I went over to chat with him. And he said, Ed Hickey was a little stiff this evening, or could I be mistaken? Well, of course she was not mistaken. I think all the world of it, but he was spiffed. Anyway, we started to chat, and finally I said, you have the advantage over me. You know my name, and I don't know yours. And right back at me, he says, what name do you like? Didn't have to think one more. Harvard has always been my favorite name. So I said, Harvard. Now, this is the interesting part of the whole thing. Right back at me, he says, what a coincidence. My name just happens to be Harvard. You and I are so much alike. Look at yourself. Look at this. Look at what you are now. We are on the same side. Come on, you know what's in your heart. Why would you be on his side? Let me tell you something about him. He is the biggest unachiever of all time. Just a good publicist, that's all. Something good happens. It's his will. Something bad happens. He moves mysteriously out of the way. You take that overblown press kit they call it, the Bible. You look for the answer in there. What do they tell you? Shit happens. Please. I'm God. He treated you like garbage. You walked out of the way. What about the end of days, you ask? Think of it as a new beginning, a change of management. And you will be right there by my side on the first floor. It will be so cool. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you really want. And I will give it. You want me to go to heaven. You see, sometimes the problem is hell comes to you!
Hello and good evening. My name is Daly Tosher, and tonight I'll be performing 2 monologues for you. The first one is my serious one, and it's taken from the movie Trainspotting. The second one is taken from the play Identity Crisis by Christopher Durang. And now for my scene. Choose life. Choose a job. No, choose a career. Choose a very big television. Choose washing machines, cars, compact disc players, and electrical tin openers. Choose wondering who you are on a Sunday morning. Choose sitting on the couch watching mind-numbing, spirit-crushing game shows, stuffing junk food into your mouth. Choose rotting away at the end of it all. Nothing more than an embarrassment to the selfish, messed up brat you spawned to replace yourself. Choose life. Choose a future. Why would I want to do a thing like that? When I was 8, someone took me to this
theater full of lots of other children. We were supposed to be seeing a production of Peter Pan. I remember that throughout the whole thing, odd things just kept happening. Terribly wrong. Like when the children were supposed to fly, the ropes they were on, they would just keep breaking and they would come thumping to the ground. They had to be carried off by stagehands. Then some understudies came out and took their places, then they just come thumping to the ground. Oh, and the crocodile that chases Captain Hook. It was a real crocodile. It wasn't an actor. And at one point it fell off the stage and crushed a couple of kids in the front row. Oh, and throughout the whole thing, Wendy just seemed to get fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. Until finally, by the end of Act 1, they had to roll her off stage with a cart. Oh, and when Tink drinks the poison that Peter's about to drink in order to save him, and Peter goes to the audience and he says, "Not enough people believe in fairies. But if we all clap our hands real hard to show we do believe in fairies, Tink might not die." So we all started to clap. Clapped so long and so hard, my hands started to bleed. Then the actress playing Peter, she just turned to the audience and she said, "That wasn't enough. Tink's dead." We all started to cry. And the ushers, they came in and they took us out into the streets. And the whole thing turned me against theater. Even more damagingly, it's warped my total sense of life. I mean, what's worth trying if Pink's just gonna die?
Hello, my name is Shauna Mulberry, and tonight I'll be performing 2 monologues. The first is a comedic scene entitled Butterflies Are Free, and the second is my serious piece entitled Brenda. And now for my first scene. I guess it was right after my marriage. I used to hang around Sunset Strip and smoke pot and say things like, "Down with the buzz," and "Don't trust anyone over 30. The whole bit. I just did it because everybody was doing it. Then I stopped because everybody was doing it. I felt I was losing my individuality. Whatever that is. The main thing, of course, was to protest against my mother. But it didn't work. I mean, I walked in one day with my hair long and stringy, wearing far-out clothes and beads and sandals. She loved it. Next day, she had stringy hair, far-out clothes, and beads and sandals. Well, I mean, how can you protest against someone who's doing the same thing you are, right? So, I went the other way. And joined the Young Republicans for Ronald Reagan. Another mistake. There is no such thing as a Young Republican. I smoked my first dope when I was 13. Eddie Matthews had some, and we went to his room and got stoned. I mean, totally wasted. The posters on his wall seemed to you know? The term getting high. It makes sense. Think about it, Lorraine. High, like above, beyond. Above all the problems and greeds and petty bull and silly shit like having to listen to your mom talk about cute dresses and cute shoes and having your nails fixed. Yeah, right. All that. Behind the line, you don't care about any of it. And with brass, you're so laid back, you don't give a damn. And they can have their wars. Like, I remember this comedian one time when they asked him where he wanted to be when the bomb dropped. He just said, man, I don't care. So long as I can say, man, what was that?
Good evening. My name is Joey Whitman. Tonight I'll be performing for you 2 monologues, a comedic and a serious. The comedic is entitled Welcome to Hell, written by Mr. Bean. My serious, entitled The Jazz Singer, written by Samson Robinson. Now for my scenes.
Hello, and welcome to hell! I am Satan! But you may call me Toby if you like. Now, you are all here for eternity, which I hardly need to tell you is a heck of a long time. So you all get to know each other pretty well towards the end. But for now, I'm going to have to split you up into groups. Will you all please stop screaming? Thank you. Yes, well, right. Looters and pillagers? There. Thieves if you would, and lawyers, you're in that lot. The French, are you here? If you could just come down here with the Germans. I'm sure you'll have plenty to talk about. Fornicators, if you could just step forward. My God, there's a lot of you. If I could just split you up into adulterers and the rest. No, Mademoiselle, if you'll please form a straight line in front of that small guillotine in the corner. Yes, no. Christians! Christians? Christians? You can just come forward. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid the Jews were right. Are there any questions? Yes? No! I'm afraid we don't have any toilets. If you read your Bible, you would have seen it as damnation without relief. So if you didn't go before you came, I'm afraid you're just going to have to hold it. Are there any questions? Other questions? Good, well, yes. Well, it's over to you, Adolf. And I'll catch you all later at the barbecue. Bye. The stage. What do you mean the stage? Theater? Are you in the theater business? An actor. An actor in a theater. You tell this to me, who comes from a family of 5 great cantors. And after all my plans, that you should be a cantor too. And now you take the scene that is holy to me and make it common? Money. Pickpockets make money too. If there must be actors, let there be. But not a son of mine, not a Rabinowitz. Their work has been laid out for them by God. Isn't it hard for me to tell you the kind of work I am doing? I sing to God. I pray. Isn't it hard for me to tell you the kind of work your Moa is doing? She is a cantor's wife. She worships the Almighty. She knows the sorrows that have come to the descendants of Abraham, Isaiah, and Jacob, to the children of Israel. She is living to be a good cantor's wife. Once she wanted to be the mother of a cantor, but she found this couldn't be. It isn't hard for me to tell you the kind of life we are living. What kind of life are you living? What kind of singing? A joke maker? A jazz singer? Oh my God in heaven. Doesn't nothing that there is a God? You're no son of mine. I never want to see you again. Such words, if I listen, God will burn me with lightning. Better I should be dead than a son of mine should holler unholy words in my ears. Get out. Out from my house. You loafer from the sidewalks. You tramp. Bum. You actor in a theater. You jazz singer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Pearson. I also will be performing 2 monologues. My first is taken from the television show The Kids in the Hall. It's entitled The Giant Crouton. And my second is my series, written by Angel Harris, and it's called On the Brink of Insanity. And now for my scene. The biggest crouton I ever saw was this big. It took 3 guys to lift it. So if you and your pal wanted to lift this crouton, you'd still need another guy. That's how big the crouton was. The guy who owned it kept it in a shed, wrapped in velvet. And if you wanted to see it, he'd take you there, but it cost you $15 cash down. And he'd have to be drunk. Drunk so you wouldn't know where he kept the crouton. The guy who owned it, they called him Old Darryl. Although he was only 18 years old. It's one of those names people always hope you grow into, like Hank, you know? Old Darryl loved that crouton so much that it worried his girlfriend Hazel, a name nobody ever grows into. One of those days, Hazel said, "You know, old man Darryl, I think you love that crouton just a little bit more than you love me." Well, he said, "There's the door." And that, he pointed to a large hole in the wall in which he intended to build the door as soon as he got some tools. So, the fight ended in a compromise. He decided to buy Hazel a humidifier. And as fate would have it, as they were out that night, some kids I guess about your sizes, ages, smells, hair color, and ethnocentric backgrounds, were out in the midst of a Rango, Tango, Devil Maker spree, and they happened upon the crouton shack. They broke right in. Now they claim they were looking for Mother's Day presents. But I do not believe that, because as soon as they saw that crouton, they had their little Swiss Army knives poised and started hacking away at it. And when old Darryl got home with that humidifier under his right arm, that crouton was mighty and towering. Now the size of, say, a Rubik's Cube. And if you were out in the midst of that Monday night, you might have heard the sound of crime, male crime, the rarest kind. And nowadays, well, old Darryl, he looks his name, because people don't come to see that crouton no more. Just teenage girls who wants to use it for earrings. And when him and his woman ain't out buying lottery tickets, he's out in that shed, just remembering. It's so hard to even be here. It's killing me to watch Jeremy. This war is ripping him apart, piece by piece. He's on the verge of insanity. He never eats. He never sleeps. He cringes and cowers at the slightest noise. I've never seen him like this. At night, he sits curled up in the corner in a tiny ball. The war's made his mind regress, and he's become an infant again. I worry about him so much. I get to worry about myself and my other brother sometimes. Ryan does seem to be affected by the war in a different way. His mind has not gone as reckless as Jeremy's has, but his heart has. He stares at nothing, sheds no tears. He misses nothing. And all he thinks about is the war, what our next move will be, and what their next move will be. I want to make it all better with my brothers, as I used to when we were little. one would fall out of the hayloft or off of a horse. There's nothing I can do. I think that all they need is for this war to be over. That seems like a never. This war will never end and we'll be forever fighting. I want out! I want to be home. I want to be there with you and with Mother and Father again. I want to go fishing in the ponds with Jeremy, as we did just under 2 years ago. I want to ride through the fields on midnight. I see so many terrible things happen over here. Torture, killing, starving, death. So much death it take 20 or so times our town's population. To even get close to the death toll. Still be hundreds short. Boys are dying out here. Brothers, fathers, husbands, boyfriends, fiancés, everything you can possibly think of. I'm forced to sit here and watch it. And as I stand here, all I see is the muddy walls, the trenches around me, the darkness of the sky above. There's stars there, but it can't be heaven. Because if there was a heaven, if there were a God, He'd never let this happen. This has to be a dream. Humans can't possibly possess this much evil.
We're going to go right to the juniors and then have the intermission after that. Sorry,
Good evening, my name is Fidel Lambie, and I will also be performing 2 monologues for you tonight. The first is my serious, entitled Marks in Soho, written by Howard Zinn. My second is entitled The Girl I Married, taken from a collection of monologues. And now for my serious. We were living in London. Jenny and I and the 2 little ones, and 3 dogs, 2 cats, and 2 birds. Barely alive. We're in the flat on Dean Street where they dumped the city's sewage. We were living in London because I'd been expelled from the mainland. Yes, expelled from the Rhineland, from my birthplace. I was a dangerous man. I'd done dangerous things. I was the editor of a newspaper, the Rhineless Zeitung. Hardly revolutionary. I suppose the most revolutionary act a man can commit is to tell the truth. The poor people in the Rhineland were getting arrested for gathering firewood on the estates of the rich. I wrote an editorial protesting this, and they tried to censor it out of the paper. So I wrote an editorial saying there was no freedom of the press in Germany. They decided to prove me right, and they shut us down. Only then did we become radical. Isn't that always the way it is? Our last issue of the Zeitung had a big headline in red-banded, Revolt! This annoyed the authorities. They expelled me from the Rhineland. So I went to Paris. Where else can an exile go? Where else can you sit all night in a cafe and lie about how revolutionary you were in the old country? Yes, if you're going to be an exile, be one in Paris.
I'm not just jumping into it because I happen to fall in love. No, I seen way too many divorces, and I'm not about to make a mistake. I decided that the signature will have a marriage plan. You need to decide what kind of girl you want and then seek her out. If you know what you want and you don't date anyone who doesn't qualify, you can't go wrong. I started a list myself for my future wife. I got 4 out so far. First, my future wife must understand computers. Well, drive me nuts a little someone who didn't know the difference between a Pentium 2 and a Pentium 3. Second, my future wife must love dogs. Not tolerate, love. Some of my best friends are dogs. They're more fun to be with, and they can keep a secret. Third, she must adore Twinkies. And chocolate. Ideally, she'll get this cravings for something like a hot fudge sundae. So strong, she'll get up in the middle of the night, get dressed, and drive through a snowstorm until she finds a basket of Robbins that's open. And fourth, now this is so important, I'm thinking more as number 1. My future wife must not mind unmade beds, undusted furniture, and unwashed dishes. That's her, the girl of my dreams. She's too busy playing computer with a dog to be bothered with housework. I don't know when I'm gonna meet this perfect creature, or where. I'm not getting there until I do.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Coralie Wilhite, and tonight I will be performing 2 monologues. The first is entitled Some Things You Never Forget, written by C. Clark. In this scene, I will portray a woman in her 30s remembering the night her father met his death. The second is entitled Sarah, taken from a collection of monologues. What's wrong with me? He's dead. He's been dead for 20 years now. It's almost funny how there are some things that you can never forget. They're constantly on the front of your brain, driving you insane. I have a family now, 2 kids to look after, and a loving husband who treats me like a queen. Yet every day I remember. I know that memory affects the way I act. And sometimes when I get emotional, I take it out on my kids. I don't mean to. It's just so hard to keep my anger inside. It's too hard. God, this is so unfair. Why did he have to die and the other guy didn't? The other guy was the one who was drinking. The other guy was the one who was stupid enough to get behind the wheel. The other guy was the one who went through the red light faster than the speed of light. And it's all because some guy's stupid mistake. My father had to die. Why, I ask you, why he walked away from the accident? Later he said to my family that he wished there was something he could do. My father's dead because of him. He's dead and he's not coming back. That's right, dead, and there's nothing that anyone can do. The reason why my father was out that night was because I wanted some ice cream. There was none in the house, so we went to the corner store. We knew something was wrong when he didn't come back quickly. And then there was a phone call. I feel like it's all my fault. Everyone says it's not, but you know, it really is. If it wasn't for me and my stupid urge for chocolate ice cream, he would still be alive today. He would have seen my graduation and walk me down the aisle and talk to his first grandchild. But no, he missed out on all of that because some stupid idiot forgot to listen to the don't drink and drive messages. Why couldn't someone have grabbed his keys before he got in the car? The police said he was at a huge college party. Only one simple gesture. I don't eat ice cream anymore. What's your name? My mom told me it's rude to ignore people. My mom told me lots of things, like what baby oil is made out of, and why we have to hose the dog off sometimes in the driveway. One time, she even told me where babies come from. I'm still confused
confused about that. But she says they'll get it in a couple of years when I start talking to boys. You don't talk, do you? My dad says that strange people live around here. I don't think that is true. My dad says that if the mayor would get his head out of the past, that we could clean this place up. I'm not sure I get that either, but he says I will. I have a dog, but my dad says they're worthless animals. But I think that is because he left his paycheck on the table one time, and Woody ate it. Boy, was he mad. I named Woody myself, but my dad always laughs at me when I call him to come in after dark. Hey, where are you going? Hi, what's your name? My mom told me it's rude to ignore.
Salutations. My name is Sarah Martz, and tonight my two monologues I will be performing for you are Bus Stop and Look Back in Anger. Bus Stop is my comedic, and it is written by William Ing, and Look Back in Anger is my serious, and it is written by John Osborne. And now for my scenes. Bo come in one night when I was singing that old Black Magic. It's one of my best numbers. And he liked it so much, he jumped up on a chair, yelled like an Indian, and put his fingers in his mouth and whistled like a steam engine. Naturally, it made me feel good. Most of the customers at the Blue Dragon was too drunk to pay any attention to my songs. And I thought he was awful cute. I'd never seen a cowboy before. Oh, I'd seen him in movies, of course, but never in the flesh. Anyway, he's so darn healthy looking, I don't mind admitting I was attracted right from the start. But it was only what you might call a sexual attraction. The very next morning, he wakes up and hollers, "Yippee! We're getting married!" I honestly thought he was crazy. But when I tried to reason with him, he wouldn't listen to a word. He stayed by my side all day long like a shadow. And I, of course, he had to go back to the Blue Rodeo. But he was back to the Blue Dragon as soon as the rodeo was over in time for the midnight show. If any other fella claimed to have a date with me, Bo beat him up. He kept telling me all week he and Verge would be by the night the rodeo ended, and they'd come by and pick me up and we'd all start back to Montana together. I knew if I was around the Dragon that night, that's what had happened. So I decided to beat it. One of the other girls at the Blue Dragon had a place across the river in Kansas, so I decided to live with her. So last night I just went to sing at the Blue Dragon for the first show. Then I told him I was quitting. I didn't want to find another job anyways. So I picked up my share of the kitty, but darn it, I had to go and tell him I was taking the midnight bus. They had to go and tell Bo, of course, when he come in a little after 11. He paid him $5 to find out. I had just gotten to the bus station and hadn't even gotten my ticket when here comes Bo and Verge. He just steps right up to the ticket window and yells, "3 tickets to Montana!" Then he dragged me onto this bus and I've been on it ever since. Somewhere deep down inside of me, I got a funny feeling I'm going to end up in Montana. It doesn't matter. I was wrong. I was wrong. I don't want to be neutral. I don't want to be a saint. I want to be a lost cause. I want to be corrupt and futile. Don't you understand? That helpless human being that was inside my body. Thought it was so safe and secure in there. Nothing could take it from me. After that, all I wanted was to die. I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know it could be like that. I was in so much pain, and all I could think of was you and what I'd lost. I thought, if only you could see me now, so stupid and ugly and ridiculous. This what you wanted to splash around in. I'm in the fire and I'm burning, and all I want is to die. It's cost me my child and any others I might have had. But it doesn't matter. This is what you wanted. Don't you see? I'm in the mud at last. I'm crawling. I'm groveling. Oh, God.
Hello, my name is Robin Maury, and the first scene I will be performing for you tonight is my comedic entitled Just Take Another Drink by Eric Ott. And the second monologue I will be performing is my serious, taken from Edwidge Dante's Harmony Fun. Now for my scene. So I'm sitting on the couch drinking early times whiskey straight from the bottle with this chick I've been seeing for the past couple of years. And she's just smiling like a busload of Mongoloid school children after the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. And so I nudge her with my big toe, and I say, baby, what is it that you're thinking about? Because I just got it. And she looks at me and she says, man, it's this music, this rabid Coltrane bebop jazz that's got me thinking about this time we were in that old white Mercury with the oxblood tuck and roll interior and that holy mother of Jesus suction cup to the dashboard, and we were blazing a trail down that methamphetamine highway, man, pedal to the metal, man, like a one-band gangbang, just gas to the floor, man, and you were driving so fast, man. We hit a bump, man, we go flying like a goddamn space shuttle, man, and when we hit down, man, we could hear the elbows of those waitresses honking against the trunk, man. They were, oh, what a rush, man. When we were finished there, man, those policemen, we could hear them following us, man. We could see the desert rocks. We could see them red, white, red, white, red, white, with all the sirens splashing across them sharp. But you didn't look back, man. You didn't look back. You just looked straight ahead, man. You didn't look at me, sitting in a puddle of my own blood, man. You didn't look behind you at the suitcase with all that dough. You didn't look at the room rear mirror or the cold air outside fogging up the window so you couldn't even see. You just looked straight ahead. And I asked you, baby, what the hell are we gonna do? And you looked straight ahead and you closed your eyes and you opened the glove compartment and you reached in past that 38 with the black tape stretched around the grip, past the last box with hollow point shells, until you found that Coltrane 8-track, man, and you popped it in the tape deck. And my God, man, there has never been anything that beautiful in the history of the universe. Nothing so goddamn brilliant as that music at that very moment. And then, this girl I've been seeing for the past couple of years, she leans back and closes her eyes. And I say, baby, what the hell are you talking about? And she says, don't worry about it. Just take another drink. I'm in my room, listening to the music in the trees, the flame tree pods flapping against each other, the hummingbirds squawking back in fear. They know the sound of flame tree pods in motion. The hummingbirds do. It is a sound that shifts all the time, becoming muted or sharp with the strength of the wind. I get up and close the door, lock out the tame night breeze that touches my bare body, barely touches it. I'm lying naked because Sebastian has convinced me that to be naked is like a prayer, like how when one first came out of the womb, alone, pure. But mostly because I want to feel the sweat gather between the concrete floor and the hollow in my back so that when I rise up, I can feel the sweat, the perspiration roll down over my buttocks, over my thighs, down to my knees, my shins, my ankles, my toes.
suppose.
So there will be no more liquid left in me, which to cry.
Good evening, my name is Melissa Houston, and tonight I'll be performing 2 monologues. The first entitled Maria, and the second, my series, entitled Sharon, taken from a play written by Colin. And now, well, my... Like, give me a break here, okay? You're gonna have basketball practice every night? Maybe even Christmas Eve? What about me here walking home alone every night like some rejected nerd because you're up at basketball practice? Don't I count? Don't I exist? What? You're gonna be too tired? But you're not too tired when it comes to copying my homework, now are you? Not too tired when it comes to ripping off my brain? You know, I used to think that dating a basketball star was so cool, but now I'm thinking that it totally sucks. Now I'm thinking, David Johnson? Yes, he's in drama, so what? Just because a guy is in drama does not mean that he is gay. That is more of your macho basketball mentality. God. No, I'm beginning to think that this whole thing just isn't happening anymore. Like, I mean, maybe you need to think about your priorities, because maybe all you really care about is hanging out with a bunch of dorks whose shoe sizes are bigger than their IQs. I mean, like, give me a break here, okay? I mean, you're just way too self-centered and self-absorbed, and besides, dude, you're way too tall. Yes, I hated it, so what? For 3 months, I felt that damn thing inside me. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't go to school. I hated those boys for what they had done to me. I hated my parents and the damn missionaries. And most of all, I hated the baby. Every day I went to chapel and prayed for forgiveness for whatever I had done to make God let those boys rape me. I prayed for him to make the baby go away. But then I realized that wouldn't be enough. I began praying to have a baby, to have it be healthy. I wanted to take it around town and show everybody what it felt like being raped. I wanted to name the fathers and make the whole town hate them just as much as I did. I ran away. I confronted one of the boys that had raped me and I told him about my plans for revenge. He begged me not to do it, pleaded with me to get rid of it. Cut it out, I laughed. I wanted to ruin his life. He threatened me. I came back home to protect the baby, for use against them. Then I miscarried. God had me raped and then took away my instrument of revenge. The son of a bitch took away the only chance I had to make my life good. I cried for days. But then I realized what had really happened. I saw other babies, other mothers,
monologues for you. My first one, my dramatic, is entitled The Miss of a Great Miss, and it's taken from Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. My second one, my comedic, is taken from 12 Monkeys, in which I'll be portraying a character who is one card short of the full deck. And now for my first one. I'll never forget the day I saw a dream walking. Her name was Susie Summers. Her smile, sparkling, beneath two twinkling eyes, was electric, and it made the people who received it, especially guys, feel really special. She was beautiful, but it was her invisible beauty that I will always remember. She was an extremely talented listener, and she really cared about people. Her sense of humor could brighten your day, and her wise words were exactly what you needed to hear. She was not only admired, but genuinely respected by both sexes. With everything in the world to be conceited about, she was extremely humble. She was every guy's dream. Especially mine. I walked her to class, and once, I even got to eat lunch with her all by myself. It sounds kind of pathetic, but I felt on top of the world. I would think, if only I could have a girlfriend like Susie Summers, I would never look at another female. But I figured somebody this outstanding was dating someone far better than myself. So, graduation, I said farewell to my first big crush. A year later, I met her best friend at a shopping center, and we had lunch together. The lump in my throat, I asked her how Susie was. Well, she got over you. What are you talking about? You were really cool to her the way you led her on, walking in her class every day and making her think you were interested. Do you remember that one day you had lunch with her? She stayed by the phone the entire weekend. She thought for sure you would call her and ask her out. I was so afraid of rejection, I never risked letting her know how I felt about it. I mean, suppose I had asked her out and she said no. What's the worst that could have happened? I wouldn't have got a date with her. Well, guess what? I didn't have a date with her anyway. You never lose by loving. You always lose by holding back. You know what crazy is? Crazy is majority rules. Take germs, for example. 18th century, no such thing. No one had even dreamed of such a thing. No, it's dangerous. Along comes this doctor, Soma West, and he's trying to convince you that there's this little teeny things that get inside your body called germs and make you sick. I mean, what is this guy? Crazy? Little teeny tiny, what do you call them? Germs, huh? What? Cut to the 20th century. It's fast food drug. And I order this burger, and the guy drops it on the floor. He picks it up, he wipes it off, he hands it to me. Like it's all okay. What about the germs, I say? He says, I don't believe it. Germs are just a plot they made up so they can sell you disinfectants and soap. Now he's crazy, right? Right? There's no right, there's no wrong, only popular opinion. You believe in germs, right? Of course you're not crazy. You want to escape, right? That's very sane. It's very sane. I can help. You want me to, don't you? To get you out. Why don't I try to escape? That's what you're going to ask me, wasn't it? Good question. Intelligent. Because I would be crazy to escape. I am all taken care of. I have sent out word. I've meant to contact certain underlings, evil spirits, secretaries who will contact my father. And when my father finds out that I'm in a place like this, he'll have them transfer me to one of those classy joints where they treat you like a guest, like a person, with sheets and towels and great rugs, like a big hotel for all us nuts. Sorry, I got a
Jenny, and the second entitled Audition, Not For My Singing. She lived in the next block. A couple times a day she used to walk her dog. A stroke left her partially paralyzed on one side. And she walked slowly. It took her forever to get around the block. I used to see her and talk to her almost every day about all kinds of different things. She was a nice lady, very pleasant, kind. I always needed a pin. Her name was Mrs. Jameson. Her son lived in Cincinnati and used to visit her once a month. She talked about him a lot. You could tell she loved him and was super proud of him. Last week on my way home from school, I saw an ambulance outside of her house, and I knew something was wrong. She'd had another stroke. She'd fallen through a sliding glass door and lain naked and cold all night long. They took her to St. Joseph's, and I visited her there 2 days later. Her son was there. He was a nice man. He thanked me for coming and caring enough to come and visit her. She was in a semi-private room beside a lady who had tubes in her nose. Mrs. Jameson was sitting up. She was pretty. We talked for a long time. She told me about when she was a girl my age and about her brothers and sisters. Tears even came to her eyes. She thanked me for coming to visit. She died yesterday. Her son came and told us. Her son said that she wanted me to have her dog. I think that our neighborhood has a hole in it that she used to fill. When you're old, and sick, and alone, life is something you have to learn to face bravely. It takes courage to face it day after day and not complain. And she never did. She was always smiling. Hello! Hi. Hey, okay. Wow. Nice place. Nice theater. Wow. Toy boat. Okay. All right. Well, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. You are out there, aren't you? Okay. So we're all here. Well, I mean, you're there and I'm here, but, well, forget it. Well, okay. For my, all right, my name is... Shit! Oh! That's what we construe as craziness. My name is... I forgot my name. Well, I mean, my stage name. See, I decided to use my new stage name for this audition for luck. Because, it was very, what do you care, right? My real human name is Mary Titfer. Titfer. Yeah, Titfer. Yes. You got it? Okay, good. All right, one more introduction and we're under our way. All right. For my... Excuse me? Oh, this little person on my leash? Oh, this is my cat. Tat. Like my cat? Tat? Get it? Tipper tat. Tipper tat. You get it? Okay,
Good evening, my name is Dub Wright, and tonight I will be performing 2 monologues. The first entitled Nigger, written by Dick Gregory. The second titled The Seagull, written by Anton Chekhov. And now for my scenes. I never learned hate at home. I had to go to school for that. I got my first big lesson when I was 7 years old. I was in love with a light complexion little girl named Helene Tucker. She had pigtails and nice manners. I went to school then mostly to look at her. And she had a daddy. And he had a good job too. He was a paper hanger. So I got myself an old handkerchief to wipe my nose on, because I didn't want to see her to see me wipe my nose with my hand. The pipes were frozen again. There was no water in my house. But I'd go over to Mr. Ben's grocery store and stick my pot down in the soda machine so I could wash my clothes every night. And I'd put them on in the morning, wet or dry, because they were the only clothes I had. I got sick a lot that winter. Everybody's got a Helene Tucker. Symbol of everything you've ever wanted. When I was in high school and played the drums, it was for Helene. When I broke track records in college, it was for Helene. And when I started standing behind microphones and hearing people applaud for me, I wish Helene could hear it. It wasn't until I was 29 years old and married and having kids and a really good job until I finally got her out of my system. Something happened in that classroom that made her face hang in front of me for the next 22 years. It was a Thursday, the day before Negro payday. Our teacher was asking our families for donations to the community chest. I knew Helene's father would pledge. And whatever he'd donate, I was going to top. So she started calling out names out of the book, alphabetically. Helene Tucker, my daddy said he'd donate $15. That's very nice, Helene. Very nice indeed. Wasn't going to take much to top that. I'd saved up a whole bunch of money from shining shoes and selling newspapers. But when the teacher got to my name, she just closed the book. So I raised my hand. Ma'am, you skipped me. What about me? She turned around. Richard Gregory, we don't have time to be playing these games with you. But my dad said he'd really donate the money. I have $20 right here. She turned around. She looked mad. Her eyes getting wider and her lips getting thinner. She turned around and looked at me and said, Richard Gregory, we don't have time to be playing these games with you, and we all know you don't have a daddy. Helene turned around and looked at me, crying. Then I couldn't see her too well because I was crying too. And I always thought the teacher kind of liked me. She always picked me to scrape the blackboard every Friday. That's when I learned hate. A little more coffee. A little more coffee, like. Funny thing happened on the bus the other day. Fella got on with his fly open. I seen it, but I didn't have a chance to tell him. Well, I watched him through the mirror and I saw him sit down behind this lady with one of them fox furs around her neck. Had this little tail hanging down. So we starts going a few blocks and he gets to a stop, so he stands up and starts to the door. Only thing was he notices his fly, so he zips it up quick and heads for the door. But then he noticed that he zipped the tail of the fur up with it. The whole thing pulled right off her neck and was swinging from his fly. I want to see that out of here. The only thing he could do then was unzip this fly in front of the whole bus. And then
Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. And my second is my serious piece, is Untitled, written by Sandra Tunks. And now for my third. Good Lord, Coraline, thus goes everyone to the world but I, and I am sunburnt. Why, I may sit in the corner and cry, hey ho for a husband. In faith, I am too cursed, and too cursed is more than cursed. For it is said, God sends a cursed cow short horns, but to a cow too cursed he sends none. And just so God shall send me no husband, for which blessing I am upon my knees every morning and evening to pray for. Though I could not endure a husband who hath a beard upon his face, I should rather lie in the wool. Yet, should I light upon a husband who hath no beard, well, what would I do with him? Dress him in my apparel and make him my waiting gentlewoman. He who hath a beard is more than a youth. He who hath no beard is less than a man. Well, he who is more than a youth is not for me, and he who is less than a man, well, Lord knows I am not for him. Well, go I to hell? No, but to the gate, and there will the devil meet me like an old couple with horns on his head, and he'll say, get thee to heaven, Beatrice. Here's no place for maids. So away with I to the heavens with St. Peter, and he will show me where the bachelors sit, and there will I live as merry as the day is long. Off to the beer store again, huh? I thought you went there yesterday. And the day before, for that matter. God, Mom, why can't we just leave here? He treats you like you're nothing. I'm 18 years younger than you, and I can see that. Why can't you? All you have to do is look in the mirror at the scars he gave you. Isn't that enough? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking there's an easier way. There's a way with coping with the way things are. Well, there's not, Mom. You keep trying to tell me that things are getting better, but I've seen the fresh cuts and bruises on your face. I'm not fooling anyone. I can't believe you think we should stay here. I can't believe I'm talking to myself again. Well, I don't care what you think anymore. I don't care what you think we should do. I'm not staying here another day. I'm tired of this endless torture. But before I go, Mom, I want to ask you a question. Did you ever wonder what really happened to our cat Sugar? I lied when I said she ran out the door on me. I found her in the backyard, dead. She was bleeding. I buried her in the garden, and I found a knife in the sink. This is the man that you're married to, Mom. One more question. In the last 2 years, was there ever a time you woke up and found that he wasn't in bed with you? Where do you think he was, Mom? Didn't you hear me screaming? You don't sleep that easily. Why didn't you hear me screaming? Why didn't you stop him? He's not my husband. You brought him into this house. Why didn't you stop him? Fine. Fine. And did you notice that I stopped crying after the first few times? Did you ever wonder why? I cried because you never came. I stopped screaming because you never came to stop him. Well, now I'm leaving. I'm never going to see either of you again, and I don't care. You'll never know what I said now, but at least I said something. You can't just ignore your problems, Mom, and hope they're going to go away. You can't ignore them forever.
We're dying here, lady. That's what it's about. Ryan looks at me and I can see it in his eyes. One stone slab smacked in the face. The rug is coming out from under and the lights are going out. I can do the pills and the syringes and the let's play games with the cotton swabs and x-rays. But it's still there. You can burn the sheets and boil his clothes and you can wipe up the mucus and the blood and the piss and the excrement. But it's not going to change it. You can smell it on him. Soaks into your hands when you touch it. Gets inside your blood. It's stuck inside and filling up inside of his head, inside of his skin, inside his mouth. You can taste it on him. You can swallow it and you can feel it inside your belly like a sewer. You wake up at night and you spit and you shake and you try to vomit it out of you, but you can't. It doesn't go away. It's stuck inside you, inside every word and every move, every day and every night. It lies down with you and it gets in between you. And it's sick and it's putrid and it's soft and rotten and it's killing me. Some of us have to watch it. Some of us have to clean up after it. I mean, you can waltz in and out and feel like a damn Christmas tree if you want, but some of us are staying. Some of us are here for the duration. It's not easy. Too many babies and too many children. Babies, babies, kids, children. It's like they're in this damn fertility contest and everybody's coming in first. They go to their homes and it's wall to wall in diapers and crying in nasty ass smells. And they ask, Stacy, when y'all gonna get married? Well, you ain't even engaged, girl. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with me is that I'm the only one left with a sanity. The only one without hands that look like I thread pipe for a living. The only one who can still make my car payments, who can take off the weekend and sleep in and play my music loud and can still afford to shop. I'll tell you what's the matter with me, girl. They all hate me for living in a poop-free environment. They hate me because I don't have to wake up at 3 in the morning to mop up puke. They hate me because I don't have broken veins and stretch marks and an eternal bad hair day. And they hate me because I can still tuck in my blouse. But most of all, they hate my freedom. They're a bunch of fat, envious-strapped housewives. When I go to their homes, it's like entering a damn war zone. The kids are screaming and the TV's blaring, and there's so many toys over the place, it's like walking through a minefield. And their husbands, who used to be cool trim guys, are fighting away six-packs in their recliners. The kitchen floors are always sticky, and the hills on the back topics of woman's world. And the neighbors are always there with their hair in curlers and bloodshot eyes and their kids on their hips burping up Gerber's baby food. And there's always talk about carpooling and preschool and dance classes and tennis lessons and Little League and the fact they all go broke because they can't afford private school. But I'm the freak. I'm the one with the problem. Life is passing me by, boy. What is life without a husband, 2 3/5 children, an old English sheepdog, and a spoil-utility vehicle with car seats? They all pity me and worry about me and think I'm going to end up old and lonely in a flea-bag nursing home. I tell them I'm happy, and they say, girl, you only think you happy. I'll admit it does give girls something to think about. So while I'm in Cabo sipping on my third champagne cocktail, I may give it a try. Like hell.
Good evening. My name is Corey, C-O-R-E-Y, Gilchrist. The two scenes I'll be performing is taken from The Last Time and The Lesson. The Last Time, I will be performing as a bartender. I'll do my serious first. I got off early today. No, there was a bit of commotion at the bar today. Not that I had anything to do with it at all. What happened? Well, it started out as a normal day. I got there at noon. There was only 8 people in the bar, only 2 sitting at the bar. One was looking more depressed than usual. He wants to sit at the bar to be closer to refills and my advice. And I thought he'd been there for an hour and he only had 3 drinks. So I asked him if everything's okay. And he looks up and laughs. He said he's had more than 3 drinks. He tells me there's a lot wrong, too much. He explained to me about losing his job, and because he lost his job, he couldn't pay his bills. Because he couldn't pay his bills, the house got repossessed by the bank, and his wife left him. So it was about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and this guy's ragging on me. So finally I asked him, "Do you think things could get any worse?" I didn't see the gun he had under his coat. It was cold that day. He said it was going to be cold tomorrow. He took that gun, put it in his mouth, and pulled the trigger. Let's go on! Go on! As for the Neo-Spanish languages, they are closely related. So closely to each other they can be considered as true second cousins. Moreover, they have the same mother. Spanish with a newt. Eh. That is why it is so difficult to distinguish them from one another. A bad pronunciation can get you into trouble. That is why it is so careful to pronunciate and avoid errors in pronunciation. In this connection, permit me parenthetically to share a personal experience with you. I was very young. It was more than a child. It was during my military service. I had a friend in the regiment, a Vicomte, who suffered from a rather serious defect in his pronunciation. Instead of the letter F, he said, thus instead of birds of a feather flock together, he said, birds of a feather flock together. He said, Philly instead of Philly, Firago instead of Firago. He said, French bean instead of French bean. Go freak yourself instead of go freak yourself. He said February instead of February, March, April instead of March, April. Gerard de Nouveau, which is not as correct as Gerard de Nouveau. Mirabeau instead of Mirabeau, etc., etc. Thus instead of etc., instead of etc., thus and so forth. However, he managed to conceal his faults so effectively that thanks to the hats he wore, no one ever noticed.
I'll be performing my serious monologue taken from the movie Goodfellas, in which I'll be portraying a mobster guy who goes through the witness protection program. And my second monologue taken from the movie Four Rooms. It was easy for all of us to disappear. My house was in my mother-in-law's name. My cars were registered to my wife. My driver license and credit cards were phonies. I never voted. I never paid taxes. My birth certificate and my arrest sheets, that all knew that I was alive. But the hardest thing for me is the life. Leading the life. I still miss the life. We were treated like movie stars with muscle. We had it all, just what he asked for. Our wives, kids, mothers, everybody wrote them on. I had paper bags filled with jewelry stashed in the kitchen. I had a sugar bowl of Coke next to the bed. Anything was a phone call away. Free cars, keys to a dozen hideout flats all over the city. I used to bet 20, 30 grand over a weekend, and then I just blow the winnings in a week or go to the bookies to pay off the sharks. Didn't matter, didn't mean anything. If I was broke, I'd go out and rob some more. We ran everything. We paid off cops, we paid off lawyers, we paid off judges. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. And now it's all over. That's the hardest part. Today, everything is different. There's no action. I have to wait around like everyone else. Can't even get decent food. Right when I got here, I ordered some spaghetti with marinara sauce, and I got egg noodles with ketchup. I'm an average nobody. I get to live the rest of my life in the schnook. Man, you know what's one of the best freaking scripts ever written in the history of Hollywood? It's Top Gun. Top Gun is freaking great, man. You think it's a story about a bunch of fighter pilots? No, it's a story about guys waving their schlongs around. It's a story about a man's struggle with his own homosexuality. It is. That's what Top Gun's all about, man. All right, you've got Maverick, right? He's on the edge. He's right on the freaking line. And you've got Oscar and all this crew. Now they're gay. They represent the gay man, and they're saying, "Go, go the gay way. Go the gay way." Both ways. And then there's Kelly McGillis. Kelly McGillis, she's heterosexuality. She's saying, wait, no. Go the normal way. Play by the rules. Go the normal way. They're saying, no, go the gay way. Be the gay way. Go for the gay way. That's what's going on throughout the whole movie. Remember when he comes up to her house and it looks like they're going to have sex? They're just kind of sitting back. He's taking a shower. No, they don't have sex. He sits on her motorcycle and drives away. She's like, whoa, what the hell? What the hell's going on here? Next scene you see, she's in the elevator, dressed like a guy. She's got the cap on, she's got the aviator glasses, she's wearing the same jacket Iceman wears. She's like, okay, this is how I gotta get this guy. This guy's going towards the gay way, I have to bring him back. And I'm gonna do that through subterfuge. I'm gonna dress like a guy. That's how shit goes. But the real ending of the movie is when they fight the mixed. At the end, right? Because he has passed over to the gay side. Now they have this big gay freaking fighting force. And they're beating the Russians. The gays are beating the Russians. It's all over. And they freaking land. And Iceman's been trying to get married the entire time, right? And they're all, the last scene, they're all happy, hugging and kissing with each other. And what's the last freaking line? Ice comes up to Maverick and he says, "Man, you can ride my tail anytime." What does Maverick say? You can ride mine. Sword fight. Hey, man.
In this scene, I portray Preston, a man expressing his affections towards a girl. And that's my series. You know, I really believe that there's one person out there for everyone. That's what this is about. And it's not just some sappy love letter talking about how my heart stops every time I see her. It's in there, though. Or that I want to tell her that I think she's more than the homecoming queen or Mike's girlfriend. But that there's this amazing person inside of her nobody bothers to see. But what it's really about is that if she would just give me a chance, just one chance, we could find out. Find out a reason for all this. Why she's not with Mike tonight. Why after 4 years I'm still here with that letter. And maybe we can find out just what that reason is. I think I'm finally ready. In the words of encouragement. Now for my second scene, my comedic piece, I will be portraying Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. In this scene, I will be in a group therapy setting where I can urge to discuss my not-so-normal childhood. And now for my scene. Very well. Where should I begin? My father was a relentlessly self-improving boulangerie owner from Belgium with low-grade narcolepsy and a penchant for buttery. My mother was a 15-year-old French prostitute named Chloe with webbed feet. My father would drink, he would womanize, he would make outrageous claims like he invented the question mark. Sometimes he would accuse chestnuts of being lazy, the sort of general malaise a genius possessed with an insane layman. My childhood was typical. Summers in Raboon, luge lessons. In the spring we'd make meat helmets. When I was insolent, I was placed in a burlap bag and beaten with reeds. Pretty standard, really. At the age of 12, I received my first scribe. At the age of 14, a Zoroastrian woman named Vilma ritualistically shaved my testicles. There's nothing like a shorn scrotum. I suggest you try it. It's breathtaking.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kelly Churchill. The first monologue I will be performing for you tonight is my comedic piece, which is untitled and written by Kimberly Kanan. My second piece is my serious. It is entitled Sandra and written by Suzanne Palmer. And now for my serious. Now, before I begin my speech, I insist on giving you my interpretation of audience rules and manners. Now listen up, because I will say each rule once and only once. If you like my speech, which you might, it's a really good speech, I wrote it myself. You simply clap like this. And if you don't like my speech, but I know you will, it's a really good speech, you should not, would not, cannot, will not, shall not boo. You simply clap like this. Next, I do not want to hear talking during my